Interesting. It says I'm live. That'll be amazing. So this is supposed to be live. Okay. My name is Dr. Dennis L. Waters Sr. I am taking it that I am live here. And my desire in regard to what I'm doing, I'm not sure which of the cameras, I take it is the camera that's there on the computer that I'm looking at right now or attempting to look at. There's also the camera that is a webcam that's above me, and I may work with that as we go forward. I'll have to test that out and see how that works in regard to that. That'll keep me looking up. And I will likely also be able to do something that has to do with the background. But at any rate, I'm going to be working with this as we go forward. I've been informed that I need to do more in regard to showing my face when it comes to doing things so that people can see exactly who it is that I am and what it is that I intend to do. And I want to comply with that. That's my total intent to comply with that. Um, I've said that I'm desirous of individuals actually understanding what it is that we're seeking to do. And whoever it is that may watch or pay attention to what we do, there are a few things that you should be very clear about. One, my favorite subject when I was in school a long time ago, as you can see, I clearly have gray hair. But a long time ago, my favorite subject was math. And so I've done a lot of math, and I encourage others in this day and time, especially, to do a lot of math. This is the year that major individuals, a number of individuals, got access to artificial intelligence with Chat GPT 3, 3.5, and then 4. And so it's a time where a lot of things are becoming available. There are changes that are being made in all the laws that affect a great many people in the world. And as a result of that, I just encourage people to understand math, to understand science, to understand technology, and everything else that's taking place as far as this world is concerned. It is vital that people, as far as people who are having children, all of those kinds of things, you should begin, in my estimation, again. And this is not something that's a creed or anything like that, but prepare your child to live in this world even before that child is born, as far as I am concerned. As far as I am concerned. I just saw a picture on Facebook, I think it was, where it was talking about elongated skulls, and that at some point in time in Africa, I think it was, it seemed like it was in South Africa, but there was a particular tribe that actually made their baby skulls so that they would be able to be elongated, so that they would have a brain that was stretched back, and they became individuals that played music with a unique instrument. I think it's still unique to this day. And as a result of that, they were could do intricate chords and intricate music, play a particular instrument. And as a result of that, that music would be played by individuals who were very, very intelligent, highly intelligent. And so as we go forward into the 22nd century, all of those kinds of things will become more and more and more important. So I encourage anybody, everybody, to actually come to the place where they actually, again, do math, learn how to do critical thinking, reading and reasoning, all of those kinds of things as we go forward. In regard to what I'm doing, I'm working with something that is called the 8 A's of transformation. The reason why I want to bring this forth is that I have in mind that it will be a benefit to really the world. I say that in regard to the 8 A's. The 8 A's is something I developed in 2005. It was given to me. I say that because I was in a program which was at my beloved Howard University School of Divinity. And I had to study. My professors gave me a lot of reading to do, and I did not and do not speed read. And as a result of that, each class had about 2,000 pages that were required reading. As a result of that, we did all kinds of other things in regard to that. And then at a particular time, I basically lost consciousness and went to sleep, if you want to call that, and then had a massive headache along with that. And then when I woke up, I seemed to have had the 8 days. And when I initially thought about that, I was thinking that spirit was seeking to pour inside of me more knowledge. But as I learned from others, God is already inside of us and inside of me, and that the spirit was saying, "Let me come out. Let me come out. Let me come out." And I accepted that. That was what was taking place, because what took place was that at that time, individuals would come and ask me questions, various questions, after a period of time, maybe about 2 weeks, when I kind of gathered myself in regard to that. But they would come and ask me questions, and I would find that I had answers for their questions. I could understand what they were saying. All kinds of persons would come. I was in class and I would give answers, and the answers would be the right answer. Not just according to the professor, that was profound, but also according to the students that were there. And we would have lively discussions. And so the 8 A's, that's how it initially came about. The 8 A's are awareness. The second one is, that's the first one is awareness. The second one is acceptance. The third one is assurance. The fourth one is adoration. The fifth one is association. The sixth one is assignment. The seventh one is accountability. And the eighth one is assimilation. Now, there are so many things that I will share with you in regard to that. 8 A's. They were actually initially called the 8 A's, and we just called them the Restoration Ministry Model, because of an aspect that we were writing. As I was writing, I was dealing with the aspect that there were individuals. My particular study group was the persons I was studying, writing my dissertation on, were individuals who were African American males who had been impacted by what was called physical sexual abuse happening before the age of puberty. Now, in this day and time, this year's 2023, there are all kinds of things that are coming out about churches and denominations and everything else that have to do with this kind of thing that has taken place for years. So long before I did my research in regard to what was going on, and my book dealt with that dissertation, 1 out of 6 individuals across races, ethnic groups, whatever it may be. It was just the statistic was 1 out of 6 individuals who were males were impacted by this particular pandemic, if you want to call it, epidemic, if you want to call it that. So they were impacted by it. And my book dealt with not only what had happened, but how do you heal? How do you go forward in regard to that? And there were some unique things that I had at that time. It was unique. And so my item had to do with recovery from that. How do you heal? And in particular, as an African American male, my particular approach, which came out before a lot of things, before a lot of people, and I did not seek, it didn't even know how to go and get what would be called media in regard to that. As a matter of fact, an individual came and asked me, they, they asked me, said, what are you going to do with your book now that you wrote it? What are you going to do with it? And I didn't even know that I was supposed to. I'm turning off my phone. I didn't even know I was supposed to do anything else with the book. But they asked me what I was going to do with the book after that, and everything. Do with the dissertation and do with the book that was made as a result of that. And I hadn't thought about it, but you do things with a book. And so I needed to work with that. And the same thing is happening now. And again, I recognize that there is a need. there really is a need in regard to this. But as I looked at the 8 A's, and I recognize this more today than even then, that 8 A's was a great structured way of doing not just the thing that I designed it for, but it was structured, and therefore it could be something that individuals could use for that structure could be used for other things. And as I have looked at and worked, you said that individuals actually use my 8 A's in order to structure other 8 A's. And so you may find if you go online, as you Google, as you use Chat GPT 4, or perhaps even Chat GPT 3, if you put in and say, give me 8 A's, that it will come up. And if you inquire as to who those 8 A's were created by, you may not necessarily find my name associated with another set of 8 A's. That's what happened when I put my name in. It gave me a completely different set of words that begin with 8 A's, begin with the letter A. And so I recognize that that was part of the impact that my dissertation had when I initially put it out. Others saw it, they said, here's a structure. And have begun to understand that there are other things I've written, the same thing has happened. I have questions about a lot of things I've done in life, and others seemingly come out with something that's very close to it. They understand the pattern, it makes sense to them, and therefore they go forth and they do it in regard to that. So it's amazing to me. I like to pray, and I'll talk about the whole aspect of the 8 A's and their working with prayer, how that goes about, and everything like that, and the conversation, and why use them. As I said already, the scholars and individuals who write immediately, all that structure was something that it was useful to them. So if you see 8 A's, just 8 A's, that structure, that alliteration, as it's called, then it may be that that individual was benefited by my writing. So that was something. That's one thing. There's another item that I have. It's called RIPE, RIPE, was Walden University. And I wrote something and I used this mnemonic, I believe it's called RIPE. And that particular set of words had that particular way that it was written had specific things to do with the field I was in. It's industrial organization psychology. I was in a PhD program there. And when I wrote it, my professor, who was an organizational developmental specialist, who was teaching me, she said, that is something that you can use going forward. She recognized then the value of what I had written. I mean, I was just writing, doing something, and I was seeking to make the fulfillments for a course. So that was my intent. But the professor understood, based on her experience, that this is something that has value. And so that's what was going on with that. So that's one thing. And so as I look now, that's pretty much also what it is that I'm seeking to do in regard to this entire process, is that I see that there's something that spirit has given me. And I say spirit because, as I said, I started out doing math. I received the call from spirit as a young man, and I became a minister years later. If you don't know that story, I'll definitely share it with you. And then years later, still, I worked in corporate America a long time ago, a very long time ago. And I was pretty good at that. I was pretty good at that at the time. And bargain with spirit, said the spirit will help me go to school, then I would go if that was the direction that opened up for me. And that direction did open up. I was able to go to school at a school named Oakwood College. At the time, it's Oakwood University now, Huntsville, Alabama. And so I became a minister and stayed to this day, still a minister of a church that I lead called Spirit of Victory and Praise International Spiritual Center. And then also still have a love for the math, for something that's structured, that's scientific. And so for me, what I do with the 8 A's is that I also use them when it comes to praying, and when it comes to also, I've developed an item that works along with that. So the 8 A's, and then it provides a structure so that individuals can recover. And then we have another program which we call KIAH. K as in King, I as in India, A as in Alpha, and H as in Hank. And then the second part of that is K. K as in King, A as in no, KS as in Sam, as in Alpha again. And that stands for know it already happened. That's the first thing. And then the second part is know, state, announce, no, accept, and announce. And that's key, that you understand what that is key, because it has to do with a verse in the Bible, that has to do with Mark chapter, I think it was Mark, the 11th chapter, I believe it is, verses 22 through 26. Let's say it that way. Verse 22 through 26, Mark. But in the chapter I'm talking about, Christ said, "It is done unto you as you believe." The key to that is, he says, it's done. That's the know it already happened. No, it already happened. It is done. And then there is the aspect of know it, state it, accept it, announce it. And so, if you want to see that in the Bible, there's so many places where that is already brought forth and talked about. Is that's what faith has to do, is that you know it already happened. And so we talk about that whole piece in regard to that. And because of the aspect that we have structure, what takes place when it comes to structure is that, and when something is scientific, is that when it comes to a person who has been, again, traumatized, I mentioned they lose certain things. There are certain things that happen. We call it VIT. They lose their voice, they lose their identity, and they lose time. They lose their voice, they lose identity, and they lose time. Listen carefully to this. They lose their voice. That means that they can't really, in past times, they could not really tell their story to anyone. And even today, many individuals, when they tell their story, they are angry with what happened to them, angry at God, angry at the person that did it, angry that they were not protected, And so when they're telling their story, they have this anger that is inside of them. And because the anger is there, that is part of the process by which the same thing is perpetuated. It keeps it going. They're angry. And so they don't know how to tell their story. And when they do tell it, they can lose their identity, because the point where they are known as the person that happened to. So they were the boy, they were the young man, they were the person that it happened to. And so they become known and identified with the trauma they went through. And so the last time is time. When it comes VIT, V is in victory, I is in India, T is in token or time. They lose time. What I mean by that is that it comes to the point that abuse, um, inserts itself. There are nightmares, hallucinations, the idea that it's happening all over, and time becomes a construct that they don't know when it is happening. Some people say, well, it's in the past, but not always. So it's not always in the past. And so what takes place is they lose those things. And so we take them through or encourage them to take themselves through the process of healing. And by having a structured standard by which they work through, they may be on awareness, so to speak, and they know that to rather than keep spiraling down, keep going around and around in the same circle, they can say the next step, as hard as it is, and it will be hard, the next step is acceptance. I'm moving toward assimilation, or I'm moving toward the goal. I'm moving toward the next day of my life. I need to, if I have the vision of what it will be, it's hard to forget what the past has been. But the next step is just to accept that it's already done. The next step, and that works in a business setting as well. It doesn't matter what it is, it works. And that's why scientifically it works. We train people when they go through the process, it works. And so we work with that in regard to that. And so that whole process that we talk about. And so again, this is kind of what we're seeking to do as far as what we're doing. So we do it from the standpoint of that we coach individuals. We also, when we say coach, we mean, again, I say the destination must be worth the drive. The destination must be worth the drive. The destination must be worth the drive. The coaching we do, tell you I was in a PhD program. That means that you pay a very high price to be in that, or you go into student debt. Going to student debt in regard to that. And yes, I'm glad today the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, made some statements that helped me out. So I'm grateful for that. But do I want to pay student debt? Yes, I do. That's why I'm working still at 70 years old. I'm still working, but it feels good to be working as well. So that whole piece in regard to that. But at any rate, the whole aspect that we work, and part of the reason I do this is that I like to do it, and I feel called to do it. Honestly, to tell you the truth, so it's a good thing for me. And I think, I know, I know that there are things that we do that have blessed individuals around the world. There's no question about that. There's no question. And we'll do more, share more with you in regard to that. There's just no question about that. You may be able to look and see various things in the background. You may only see things back there now, but I've I'm a little child growing up dreaming, but I've been to Africa, to Kenya, in Africa, and in Egypt. That was a dream come true as a result of growing and learning and understanding. I actually went to Egypt with my professor, the eminent Dr. King Hope Felder, who has passed, and transitioned. And you'll hear me call his name. I'm grateful, thankful for the experience I had, and again, the beloved Howard University. Yes, I am grateful and thankful for all of those experiences. So again, I'm glad to be alive. Glad to be alive. Spirit has kept me alive. I'm glad to be alive. So I'm very grateful for all of that. And so that's not one thing. That's one thing. There's anybody who is stuck. You may have a dream of a business, starting it, going forth. We work with an individual or individuals who had that and they were stuck. They couldn't get it going. Now they had it going, and they're able to do what they had in mind that they wanted to do. They had a dream, and we talked with them about 8 days, and they were able to. Well, the vision was there. There was awareness. Their aspect, they accepted it. that it was something that could be done, it should be done, and they did it, and they carried it forth, and it's going forth now. Yes, it's going forth now. I'm excited about that. We've had individuals who, even in the midst of life, they were having difficulty because of something that was happening to them into their body, where it seemed that they were dying. And then, as a result of that, they caught a vision of life. They found something that they wanted to live through. Now, you may look at this and see it as a miracle, and it is. There's research that people actually, I studied this in my dissertation at Howard, that there were Jewish women that actually had dates that were ahead of them. They had a date certain that they were going to die. But they had a date that they were supposed to do something, and they wanted to live for that date. And they extended their life as a result of having something that they were living for. And so, again, you have an awareness, and then you have acceptance, and you're going to move toward that assimilation, that goal that you have in mind that you're going to do. So, this is not a theory. It's a theory only to those who have not actually tried it and then made it work for you. That's when it's a theory, when something has not worked for you. That's why Dr. And I studied industrial organization. College calls it a practice. It's a practice to the person who done it. That's who was a practice to, in order to make it work for them. But for those individuals who know what they're doing, who've done it over and over and over again, is science. Is science. And you can guarantee everything but the human being. They're the variable in it. And so we can talk about it. We can tell you all kinds of things, and we will. We actually will. Well, I'm coming to the end of this. Actually, one of the people I've coached and the individual that actually got to the point where myself and my wife, we started Restore Executive Life and Leadership Coaching and Consulting. This individual, after we coached her, she said, "You must," she said, "you must start a company." At that time, she also provided, if you want to call it, the seed money to start the company. She actually did that. And now she's my social media manager. And she said that I'm satisfied to do podcasts, and I was satisfied to do that. She said, "Nope." She said, "Absolutely not. You must do the podcast and do it live or whatever, but you must do the live videos." So this is my attempt to carry out her directions for my life and business. Sometimes have in mind that I'm the one that, if you want to actually go forth in life and accomplish things, you got to be someone who actually gives directions, and then also work with those who give. At least for me, I take directions as well. For now, I'm going to bring this to an end. I've given you a short about what we've done in the past as far as where it comes from, where they come from, and how they originated. We will go forth and do more of this. And I want you, out of this, I want you to just simply remember the 8 A's. If you just watch the video again, you'll see them or hear them and understand. And we may do a transcript, and we've got this material written down. It can be used in regard to your prayer process. It can be used as far as a scientific approach to achieving a vision, a dream, something that you have in mind that you want to achieve a goal. So for now, we're going to call it the end of this particular item. Blessings to you.